articulations in piano music. Articulation defines as how the notes are played with the length, attack, and decay. And so basically the articulation is acting as a musical punctuation to shape the phrasing, expression, and the style. The key articulations are legato, staccato, tenuto, and accents. The proper technique involves in using wrist, finger action, and also arm weight, and mostly guided by the markings such as a slur, dots, and wedges. So these are the four main techniques that you need to be able to apply for playing articulations. So the first is to have wrist motion. You need to have flexible, fluid wrist motion, especially for wrist flow off technique, which is used usually for phrase endings and also to release your tension. So at the end of every phrase, you want to lift from the wrist gently to release your tension. All right, and then the second technique is staccato touch. So staccato touch is usually executed with a light bouncing wrist motion, right, rather than just fingers. And then now you also need to know the legato technique. So legato technique is to play smoothly connected. So basically you need arm weight in order to produce the tone quality for singing style. So you have to be able to transfer arm weight from one key to another. So you have to be able to play smoothly connected. The last technique that you need to implement for articulation is arm weight. You should be able to transfer your arm weight from one key to another, which I already mentioned for legato touch, and that is how you're able to create depth of your music, especially for tenuto and marcato. So these are the four techniques that you must be able to implement for playing music with great articulations. So now we're talking about legato touch, often guided by markings of slur. So it means to play smoothly connected. So you should be able to use your arm weight and be able to transfer your arm weight from one key to another to play smoothly connected. So try to shape the phrase with a small crescendo and decrescendo. After the end of a phrase, you do wrist to floor off. So you lift from the wrist gently. Now you see staccato, which is guided by a marking, a dot. Right? So that means you play light with a bouncing wrist motion. But make sure you don't jump too high, staying close to keys or light execution. So now you see portato, which is the notes with the staccato and connected with the slur. So that's called the portato. So portato is like a non-legato, which is similar to mezzo staccato. So you hold onto the notes, but then you have to detach slightly. All right, so like this. So this is how you play staccato with up touch. So portato, you have to play detached but slightly connected. So instead of bouncing up, I would say you release onto the keys, but with down touch. So like this, right? With down touch, so you're never bouncing up like this, but you need to detach but slightly connected, which means you need to release the key with down touch. So that's how you play portato. So now we see staccatissimo. So staccatissimo is a staccato plus accent. So you play short and loud. So you play loud with an accent and also short. So staccatissimo, it means to play loudly and short. And then now you see marcato. So marcato is a strong accent. So it has to be stronger than an accent. So this part you have to play strong. So marcato is a stronger accent. All right, so stronger than the accent. Okay, so that means to play stronger, heavier accent. So now we see sposando. So SF is abbreviation of sposando. It means to play with a strong emphasis, but a sudden manner. So a sudden manner basically means you have to speed up the tempo of a vertical speed. So vertical speed is the time between you sinking down to the key, engaging with the piano action. So you gotta play loud in a sudden manner. So you have to press out really quick so that you can engage with the piano action as quick as possible. So that is a sudden, strong emphasis on the note. So now we're doing tenuto. So tenuto is indicated and to be held for the full value and slightly emphasized onto the notes, and you can hold possibly slightly longer than its full value. So now we're doing two note phrase technique. So which means two notes are connected with the slur. So you're gonna play from loud to soft with a down up touch. So first note you have to move your wrist downward, and then when you're playing the second note you have to move your wrist upward. So this is how you play down up. But you gotta play from loud to soft, but not with exaggeration, but slightly emphasize the first one and then release softly. Releasing softly. So this is how we play two note phrase technique.